Hi there. This is a quick casting update for House of the Dragon. That by going through resumes, we've found out that actor Kurt Egyiawan has been cast as Grand Maester Orwyl, who is part of the Small Council, and he will be part of the Green Council in King's Landing through the run of the series. If you're confused, they already said who the Grand Maester is. Grand Maester Mellos will be Grand Maester at the beginning of the story with young Rhaenyra, but then there's time skips on the scale of 20 to 30 years later. They shift to right before the war begins. It was actually in the books maybe 3 years before the war begins. Mellos eventually dies of old age, and they shift to the new Grand Maester, and he was the new guy on the council right before that. So don't expect him to be in most of Season 1, but he comes in right at the end and he'll be in the rest of the show. As for Kurt Egyiawan himself, he is a British actor who, mostly a theater actor, though he has done TV and film. He's done a lot of Shakespeare stuff at the Globe. He's played the Dauphin from the French Crown Prince in Henry V, who's just a jerk. And he in a lot of other different roles that are nicer. He's been in King Lear, a couple other things. Now, in terms of his film experience, probably the most prominent one is he co-starred with Idris Elba in that movie Beasts of No Nation. That Elba was a warlord, he was his lieutenant, so that he had a decent amount of screen time in that. Television-wise, he was fairly recently, in that TV version of The Exorcist TV show for like 2 seasons. He was in that. So, mostly theater actor, though, so I haven't seen all of his stuff, because, they do that a lot on this show, that I'm happy for that. I think you should be hiring theater actors who aren't just mugging for the camera. Emma Darcy is mostly a theater actor, as is Eve Best, so we said we don't know them that well, because we don't have video clips of a lot of this stuff. As for Orwyl himself, it's a bit of a conundrum with this. We don't know much about his backstory, other than that they mention in passing that he was of noble birth. Not everyone who's a maester is noble-born. Sometimes they're commoners who somehow manage to get sponsored for it or something. Other times they're noblemen's, like, third sons who go to join, and they drop their last name, so we don't know who they are. Like, Maester Aemon was actually a Targaryen prince, but he was a third son, so he joined the maesters. So we don't know what house Orwyl was originally from. The books give no physical description of Orwyl, and as you can see, this is a black actor. My assumption is maybe he's from Driftmark. I mean, the most logical thing is the joke among the book fans when Fire and Blood came out is there's always another minor Velaryon cousin. There's dozens of them. It was frustrating to make family trees for the Velaryons, because every other chapter would, and he didn't provide us with a family tree, and he'd just go, and this was the cousin through that other third son, through the second son of the third son of a minor branch of the family. So there's always minor Velaryons that we, as a TV show, you would not need to know about, but it's frustrating how big the family tree is. And like in the trailer shots, when you see there's other Velaryons in the background, like in the shot when they show up for the wedding, who are just minor Velaryon cousins who are probably going to be unnamed. So it's possible that he's like a minor Velaryon cousin, or in the books, Sarella Sand is at the Citadel studying to be a maester, and she's half Dornish through her father Oberyn Martell had a child with a Summer Islander woman. So she looks like a Summer Islander, that she looks black, and she's an acolyte at the Citadel. So, guys, it's not unusual to see black maesters. They come from the south or from the coast, or bastard child from a port city fathered on a passing Summer Islander ship woman. The whole thing is that Sarella, she has a Dornish accent, even though she looks like a black woman. So that's all in there, and I really think if you're going just by the original TV show, they didn't do a good job of showing how diverse Westeros is in, like, the port cities. Like, Chitaya has a brothel in King's Landing, and they cut her out. That it isn't unusual to see black people in the streets of King's Landing, because it's a major port city. On top of that, like, they were worried about introducing Dorne, even though we see Pentos, we see the Dothraki, so they tried as hard as they could to avoid mention of Dorne in the early seasons, when it's like a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. They were overcompensating. That, isn't it weird that you never saw Dornish people in the Night's Watch? Well, because then we'd have to explain why there's Mediterranean-looking Indian, Spanish, it's in medieval Spain, Mediterranean-looking people in Westeros. That the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, right before Jorah Mormont, was Lord Commander Corgyle, which is a Dornish house. So, like, you should be seeing Dornish people in the Night's Watch, and they never did that, even Season 5 onward. When they had introduced Dorne by then, wouldn't there be people from the Seventh Kingdom of Westeros there? So the idea, why would he be black? Well, they never mentioned what he looked like, and there are Sorella Sand. There's black acolytes at the Citadel. That isn't that unusual, because they come, if you're from a port city or something. As for whether he's a Velaryon or not, we actually managed to get a photo of him in the recent Empire magazine spread, but at a bad angle, that it's at Alicent, but we noticed there's this bald black man sitting at the council who appears to be a maester. Yes, that is a fuzzy shot of Grand Maester Orwyl. And because his head is shaved, is he supposed to be a Velaryon with the white blonde hair, and he's just shaved his head like Egg did? I'm not sure. But maybe he's a merchant's son who lives on Driftmark but isn't a Velaryon. There's trade towns there. I don't particularly take issue with that, because maesters come from all over the place. The only thing, he's probably like a minor Velaryon cousin, because Orwyl is of noble birth. He's not just some random street kid that got donated to the maesters like Yandel did. So the thing is, this is rounding out the small council as it will appear by the end of Season 1. The only person we don't know yet is who's playing Ironrod. Lord Jasper Wilde, he's from the Stormlands. I've heard he's in Season 1, we just don't know who's playing him yet. And if you look up stuff about Orwyl in the books, by the way, it's a little confusing, because Martin rewrote this, that originally, I'm not even going to get into this, there's this Maester Gerardus, is the Maester on Dragonstone. And originally, he did things that in the final version Orwyl does. So don't get those two confused. And the thing is, Orwyl is actually one of our chief sources of information about the Dance of the Dragons, that there's this point after the war when he's imprisoned for something else, and he is writing this pro-Rhaenyra history to try to put himself in a good light, and it's kind of self-serving. But this was the main source that Grand Maester Munkin then used for his big the Dance of the Dragons, A True Telling. So Orwyl is our source for a lot of the pro-Rhaenyra stuff that Munkin used, which is therefore the right version, and not the lies that Eustace and Mushroom were peddling. But we'll see how they play this. I've been looking at his demo reel on the actor's website. I'll link that below. So, quick update here, just a new thing of, hey, there's a new actor, and we're filling in everyone. We had a list of people who would appear through the rest of Season 1. All that's left is Ironrod. I don't know who could be playing that. I know he's in it. I'm not even sure if Mushroom is in Season 1. People keep asking. I think he is as like a cameo, but I really don't know. They've been keeping a good lid on that. So please like and subscribe for more updates like this.